Innocent cars waiting at a red light are hit by a big truck. An ordinary moment in everyone's daily rush. Vehicles are stopped at a red light, waiting for the green light. Some are on their way to work. Some may be on their way home. Maybe a passenger will meet their loved one. But at that moment, a truck is coming fast from behind. No brakes, no slowing down, and boom! Everything is turned upside down. It hits those defenseless vehicles standing at the lights with a great noise. A speeding truck trying to make a sudden turn. What follows is a disaster. The road was quiet. Everything looked like an ordinary day. But there was a speeding truck. So fast that you couldn't believe your eyes. Then suddenly, the driver of the truck made a move that no one expected. He tried to turn. But was such a turn possible at that speed with that huge vehicle? Of course not.
与主沿路交叉路口以车速过快，造成事故车弹，未造成人员伤亡。
A truck goes the wrong way. A chain accident ensues. Sometimes a mistake affects everyone, not just you. That's exactly what happened in this accident. A big truck goes the wrong way for some unknown reason. It's a joke, but true. It's coming against normal traffic, and unfortunately, the driver doesn't seem to realize it. Oncoming vehicles panic and try to escape, but everything happens in an instant. First, the truck hits one vehicle, then another. The road suddenly turns into a war zone. The bus spins out of control. It flies onto the sidewalk. People are saved at the last moment. The heart of those who saw that moment almost stopped. A city bus suddenly goes out of control for unknown reasons. The driver loses control of the steering wheel and the bus swerves rapidly towards the sidewalk. Unfortunately, that sidewalk is full of pedestrians. People are running away screaming. With only a few seconds difference, a tragedy is narrowly avoided. Even stopping at a red light is sometimes not enough. Everything was calm and ordinary. Vehicles stopped at red lights and obeyed the rules. Some were on their way to work. Others perhaps had dropped their children off at school. Everyone was safely waiting for the light to turn green. But there was a truck coming fast from behind. It didn't brake, it didn't slow down. And suddenly, bam! The big truck hit the waiting vehicles with a big bang.
Текущее время 11 часов.
An on-duty firefighter collided with a bus while making a turn. Everything unfolded in a matter of seconds. The fire engine was on duty with its sirens on. As it was about to turn right, it suddenly came nose to nose with an oncoming bus. Brakes, screams, the sound of a collision, and bam! Two huge vehicles collided at the intersection. The road suddenly turned into a war zone. Firefighters were on duty, there were passengers on the bus. Everyone had a great fright. The windows of the fire truck were broken, there was panic on the bus. Luckily, no one was seriously injured. But it must be said that this accident was a close call. Traffic suddenly stopped. But the truck couldn't stop. Everything happened in a few seconds. Everything was normal on the road. The cars were flowing and the truck was traveling at its own speed. But then something happened. Traffic suddenly jammed. The cars in front braked sharply. But it was too late for the truck. The truck is traveling on the road and suddenly goes out of control. What follows is a nightmare! The road was calm. The truck was driving in its own lane. But then something happened. Maybe a flat tire. Maybe the ground was slippery. Maybe the driver was momentarily distracted. And at that moment, the truck started to skid. The driver tried to steer, but it was too late. The truck went out of control, plunged into the bushes on the side of the road, and then started rolling down the slope. The huge vehicle somersaulted for meters. A cloud of dust surrounded the truck and the sound of the engine was replaced by a deep silence. Those who saw that moment could not believe their eyes. A load from an oncoming truck smashed the windshield of the car. Imagine, you are driving down a quiet road. Some music is playing on the radio. Maybe you have other things on your mind. Just then, a truck approaches from the opposite lane. Everything seems normal, but suddenly a load jumps out of the truck bed and straight into your car. That load, maybe a piece of wood, maybe a metal pipe, comes at great speed and crashes through the windshield. The windshield shatters. The driver pulls to the right for his life before he even realizes what happened. It snowed, the roads iced over, and a chain accident was inevitable. On a snow-covered road, vehicles were moving slowly. Everyone was cautious, but there was a hidden danger: icing. One car braked lightly, but the brake didn't work. The car started to slide. The next driver couldn't stop either. Then another, and another, and another. Within seconds, the road turned into a chain accident. Vehicles colliding back to back, creating a horrible scene on the road. Honking horns, panic, and despair. No one was seriously injured. But this accident reminds us all again, it's not enough just to go slowly in the snow. Sometimes nature writes the rules for you. Always think twice before setting off in winter conditions. Because if one vehicle skids, dozens of lives can be thrown away in its wake. Two vehicles collided head-on on a two-lane road. At that moment, time almost stopped. The road is actually straight and open, 2 lanes of traffic flowing back and forth. What happened in an instant. One of the drivers, perhaps in a moment of absent-mindedness, perhaps with an erroneous maneuver while trying to overtake, crossed into the opposite lane. And that's when they came nose to nose with the oncoming car. There was nowhere to run. Within seconds, 2 cars collided head-on at high speed. The sound of that collision echoed in the neighborhood. The vehicles were totaled as everyone tried to understand what had happened. Time had stopped for those inside. A mistake of a few seconds could have lifelong consequences. The traveling car was hit by a reversing truck. Nobody expected this. The driver was driving normally on the road. Everything was quite ordinary. But there was a truck in front of him. Suddenly, without anyone expecting it, the truck started moving backwards. The driver was shocked. He honked the horn, slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. The truck came back quickly and bam! It hit the car in front. A driver suddenly swerved in front of him. And the turning car crashed. The driver was careful. As he approached the intersection, he slowed down, signaled, and was making his turn following the rules. But just then, another vehicle, coming at high speed, swerved in front of him without warning. Neither brakes nor steering maneuvers worked. And bam, the accident was inevitable. The innocent driver making a turn suddenly found himself in the middle of it. Just a few seconds of carelessness was enough to turn someone's life upside down. In traffic, we are all responsible for the safety of others. The person you cut in front of is not just a driver. Maybe a father, a teacher, a child. A second of haste can bring a lifetime of regret. Look now! The car on the far left suddenly swerves. No signal, no control. That sudden maneuver starts a chain accident. Other drivers are in a tangle before they even realize what's happening. One person's carelessness affects everyone in seconds. The road is not just asphalt, it is also a responsibility. Rain. It falls silently, but on the roads it makes a big noise. And this car underestimated the silent danger. Suddenly he loses control and swerves to the right. The asphalt ends, the grass begins, but grass is not soft at this speed. The car rolls. Seconds pass like hours for the driver. Remember, in the rain, it's attention, not speed. Sometimes 1 second is enough to turn everything upside down. This car suddenly swerves to the right without warning. And at that moment, there's no escape for the innocent driver on your right. One man's mistake becomes another man's accident. Traffic is not just about steering, it is about empathy.
Current video is now locked.
It was almost a very bad accident. This car slows down to enter the gas station, but another car coming fast from behind doesn't even touch the brakes. It's like he doesn't even think about stopping. At the last moment he swerves, but this time he hits the wall. A major collision is narrowly avoided by a fraction of a second. Yet when someone makes a mistake, everyone's life is in danger. The car was driving calmly on a straight road. But all of a sudden, another car, coming out of control from the right-hand road, darts in front of him. The brakes are not enough. The collision is so hard that the car flips over. One person's hurried path turns someone else's life upside down. Remember, you have to be careful not only on your own road, but also on the roads of others. Sometimes it's not an accident, it's an attack. This car is driving on a straight road, everything is calm. But a pickup coming from behind, as if on purpose. And suddenly, without slowing down, it crashes. No brakes, no avoidance. It's as if it was deliberate. Accidents sometimes happen by mistake. But this is just plain irresponsible. Traffic should be about patience, not anger. It was going along smoothly. But a car coming out of nowhere from the right side of the street ruined everything. No control, no attention, and collision is inevitable. One person's haste ruins another's day. The priority in traffic should not only be signs, but also responsibility. The road seems calm. Everyone is moving at their own pace. But suddenly there's a traffic jam in front. The sound of brakes, panic, reflexes. But unfortunately, it's not enough. Cars coming from behind can't stop and collide one after the other. Sometimes just a few meters could have prevented a huge accident. Anything can happen in traffic, but you must always be careful. The vehicle is not paying enough attention when it wants to cross into the opposite lane. At that moment, they literally collide head-on with the oncoming car. Brakes are not enough. Reflexes are not enough. The collision happens before both drivers even realize what happened. This is no longer an accident. This is a deliberate collision. The car in front is driving normally, but that sports car from behind is approaching as fast as if it were on a racetrack. No braking, no slowing down. It's like he's hitting on purpose. What kind of anger is this? What kind of irresponsibility? Traffic is no place for ego battles. Act with your mind, not your anger behind the wheel. Because it's not metal, it's a human being. He turned around obeying the rules, but the carelessness of the oncoming driver caused the accident. A car stopped in the middle of the road caused a chain accident. Anything unexpected in traffic is dangerous, but when a vehicle stops in the middle of the road, it is almost an invitation to an accident. And that's exactly what happened in this case. A vehicle stopped in the middle of the road for some unknown reason. He neither turned on his lights nor pulled over. By the time the drivers coming from behind realized this, it was too late. One vehicle braked, the one behind it hit, then another. Soon the road was filled with a chain accident. While making a turn, he didn't notice the metal object on the sidewalk. And that's what happened. The driver came to the intersection, slowed down to make his turn. Everything seemed normal, until he saw the metal object on the sidewalk. But that's where the problem started, because the metal object was not visible. The driver swerved without realizing it, and the right wheel of the car suddenly went on top of the object. A momentary passion for speed. On the highway, he's getting closer in the blink of an eye. And then, the brakes are not enough. There is no distance. A violent rear-end collision with the car in front. Life sometimes comes down to a split second.
This fucking stupid ass motherfucker. Fuck.
Everything was going smoothly. The car was driving in the right lane, following the rules. But the impatience of the other driver changed everything in an instant. The car in the left lane swerved in front of him without even signaling. Neither brakes nor reflexes were enough. A sudden maneuver, a violent collision. The carelessness of one endangered the life of the other. It's a straight road. Everybody's on their own, moving along quietly. But there is a pickup truck, as if in a race. He swerves left and right, trying to get out of the way. It's like a playground, not traffic. And the moment comes. He crashes hard into an innocent car standing by itself. No apology, no pause for thought. It's like an attack, uncontrolled and dangerous. These roads are not a place for anyone to show off. The rules are there for all of us. If only we realize that before someone gets hurt. Everyone in their own lane on a two-lane road. But the oncoming car suddenly loses control, and he's wheeling up the left front. It's like he's driving into you. Such carelessness brings disaster, not accidents. There is no room for a moment of inattention in traffic. He moves forward to cross the road. But at that very moment, a turning vehicle is approaching fast. Neither of them has time to stop. And the inevitable collision happens. A moment of inattention catches both sides unprepared. In traffic, it's not "I'll pass," but safety first. It's a snowy day. The roads are slippery. The car slowly crosses the road on a green light. But the other vehicle cannot stop. Control is lost, brakes are useless, and the collision is inevitable. The weather is cold, but the mistakes are hot and hurt. Everything is going well in the left lane, until the car in the right lane suddenly swerves in front of him. In panic, he slams on the brakes but loses control, and he crashes straight into the barrier. One man's snap decision endangers the life of another. Two vehicles trying to turn at the same time at the intersection. But nobody gives way, nobody slows down. And the result, a hard collision. A second of impatience brings minutes of regret.
Even if he didn't work with them directly, he was definitely not let people get away with this. But it seems that Charles, even if he didn't work with them directly, he was definitely not